Feel the contact with the floor of your feet, your back on the chair, and also just your position of your body, your head. Just take that all in. And of course, as you listen to me, there are other sensory inputs that come in. If your eyes are open, you might be seeing things. There could be some very faint smells. There may be a certain taste in your mouth. And if you just tune into your body, you just feel a particular way. So just note all of that very gently, with gentle attention. And of course, when we do that, there are always thoughts that come in. So right now I'm going to just ask you to maybe pause, actually think some thoughts with some cues that I'll give. And as you listen to my guidance, you also just gently detach yourself from those thoughts. What is it that has not been a very happy memory for you in your life? Something you regret? As you hear these words, something gets triggered in your mind. It may come up and you let it go. Don't engage with it. Yeah, you acknowledge it. What is something that you're really proud of? Something you've achieved? Again, some thoughts may come up, some memories, some pictures, even sounds. And again, just acknowledge what has come up in response to this cue. Detach yourself and let it go. What is it that you fear going forward? Something comes up. See if you can just detach yourself from it. Don't engage. Acknowledge there are certain thoughts, certain pictures, and you let it go. Let those thoughts, let those ideas do their own thing, and you just focus on following the instructions. This week, how has it been for you? What are some of the challenges you faced? Today, anything that was not a very pleasant experience? And something that was a pleasant experience. Both these thoughts come up, pictures, sounds, images, and detach yourself. Let them be there or let them disappear. You just don't engage with them. And now, once again, the present moment. Right now, this session, my voice, any other sounds. And from sounds, just noting them as they are, come to your breath. Just notice your breath without any attempt to breathe in a particular way, just focusing on your natural breath. And there are three places where you can notice your breath very easily. There is the upper lip, there is a movement of the chest, and there is a movement of the stomach. So for the purpose of this experience, we're just going to focus on the stomach. And it can be helpful to just place your right hand very lightly on your stomach, not very forcefully, very lightly. And just feel the movement of the stomach. Feel the warmth of your hand also as it touches your stomach. Feel it to be reassuring, a reassuring warmth. And feel the movement of your stomach as you breathe in. There is no particular way to breathe. There is no particular count to keep. You're just aware of your breath. Gentle attention. Sometimes some thoughts and memories may come back. It's possible. And that shouldn't disturb you. That's very natural. But the moment you realize, just disengage from the thought. Don't push it away. And also don't follow it too much. Just come back to your breath. Just come back to the movement of your stomach. A gentle and relaxed attention is what we are seeking. It's not a forceful concentration. Gentle, relaxed attention. Just try to tune into that type of attention. Try to follow the breath completely from beginning to end, and try to follow every breath for just the next few minutes. And if you slip a breath or two, if your mind moves away, just smile and come back. That's also fine. The moment you realize it, disengage from the thought and come back to the breath persistently. And bringing your attention to your whole body if possible now. Once again, just an awareness of the whole body as you're still aware of the breath. Your feet on the ground, your back resting against the chair, the position of your hands, your head, and still aware of breathing. Nothing to do, but just be aware of your breath as you're also aware of your whole body. And just take this thought. Just wish yourself true happiness. I truly wish myself to be happy, joyful, and peaceful. And you can repeat it mentally or even aloud with conviction, with a small smile on your face. I truly wish myself to be happy, peaceful, and joyful. And say it once again with a little more conviction. I wish myself true happiness, peace, and joy. And just feel that thought. What imprint does it leave on the body? How does that feel? And then you can also, if you wish, spread that same feeling all around you, to all of us on this call, and say, whoever is here today, I wish them also happiness, peace, and joy. And all beings. I wish all beings in this universe happiness, peace, and joy. And so it is. Whenever you feel, if you want to just take a few moments more just to feel the experience, you can. Or you can slowly open your eyes. And one more thing that I often like to do is just to be mindful of movement and the body. You can rub your hands, make them nice and warm like this, feel the warmth. And just give yourself a gentle stroke on your face and your neck, feeling the warmth. Right? And just still feeling whatever you're feeling. Thoughts, impressions, memories come and go. So this is a short, simple mindfulness practice, awareness of the breath, awareness of the body. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail as I explain the theory. We'll have an opportunity to practice once more at least during this session. But I'd like maybe a few of you to, if you want to just put your impressions on the chat. We had, I think, about a little more than 7-8 minutes, I guess. I want to just share how it was. We'll take a few minutes to maybe just express ourselves on the chat. Sunita says, I felt relaxed. Thanks for that. Vishal says, calm from the chaos. Shavik, is there some marker of progress in mindfulness? I don't know what is mindfulness, but if you're asking for mindfulness, of course, we'll talk a little about that. But right now, just be with where you are currently. Just acknowledging the events and letting them go. Yeah. I'd like to hear from a few more. Shravan feels a little more aware. Thank you, Shravan. I'd like a couple of more people to maybe just chat. Anyone who felt it was difficult, not easy to focus on my instructions or on the breath, can also type that. All that is also welcome. Azim Babu says, a bit calm like ocean. Ram Kumar says, feeling calm. That's a nice picturesque way of putting it, Azim. Good. And Chandan says he had difficulty concentrating. And that's absolutely fine, Chandan. This is, we just got started. And the important thing is just to be consistent, be persistent. If, we've had a hard day with a lot of things to do, a lot of decisions to be made, it's quite possible that there will be some difficulty. But I can assure you that with practice, we'll find that it gets better. It is easier. Saurabh says that breathing naturally is actually difficult. And when I did, I found it is not smooth. So don't bother about that. Let it come and go as it is. And we'll talk a little about the importance of breath in terms of reflection on the mind. And in the second practice, which will be a little longer, I also share a way to just, if you feel that it is not very smooth and so on, to get it to a point where we can make it a little smooth. So just some assistance. Anjali had too many thoughts and difficulty concentrating. Vishal Mishra, thoughts bothered me, and thoughts will come and go. We are learning to just let them be, Vishal. And with practice, we'll find that you can let the thoughts be there and you can still establish that little space. Suyash says that the stress for all the work and my fear for the future took over the calmness after a while. And again, all of these are extremely common. So just as some people felt calm, some people felt relaxed, there is also a possibility that there will be some thoughts, right? And both of these are actually welcome experiences because they are, again, the truth of where you are right now, where your mind is right now. And at least you have started noticing. Satyanarayan says, unable to concentrate, my thoughts are like a free leaf in a storm. And that's again a very picturesque and nice way of putting it. The fact that you could express how you are in those words itself is showing me that you're becoming a little creative with what's happening to you, and that's good. Mohit says, how many session completed? We started, Mohit, I don't know if you joined late. We started at about 6:35 or so. And if you've missed the first part, don't worry, there's going to be one more even longer experiential session coming up. And Utkarsh, being free of thoughts brings a fear, I feel. Just note whatever is coming up. Okay, if you sense a fear coming up, that's fine. Just note that, yes, I felt a fear of maybe not being there in the thoughts. And that's why we anchor on the breath. It's okay to deviate, was good acknowledgement and made easy to focus again. Thanks, Anand, for that. All right, so I think we've got a fair bit of feedback from people. With that, I want to actually go into, and Shravan, I'll come back to this. Is there a way to be more aware in active state without closing eyes? Definitely there is. We will share that. I'll try and keep coming back, and especially Ishan, if you can help me with the earlier questions plus things here which are more questions which I can answer in a longer way. I'll do that later. So for now, yes. I want to share a presentation where I just want to introduce people to the concepts of mindfulness. So let me just do that. And yeah, so hold on to your questions, Mohit. I'll try to get to all questions. So how I'm going to do this is, we started with just an experience, again, very short, just to give people a flavor and to get everyone connected and in sync. I'll share a little overview about mindfulness and maybe also a little bit of my experience around practicing different types of meditation and how I came to mindfulness. I will also take maybe some discussion around what are some of the typical difficulties and so on. After that, we will go to another practice, a little longer, with the different aspects of mindfulness practice. I will try to do it in a way that give us a little more time to settle down so that we can see how thoughts can settle down. And after that, there are a lot of questions which have come in earlier and some questions coming in now. I'm happy to take as long as it takes. But I thought, let me try and finish, because the initial time given was about 1 hour, 15 minutes or so. So in 1 hour, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 20 minutes, if I can finish a basic overview as well as a longer experiential session, then I can take as much time as you have patience to answer your questions. Okay. Right. So as Ishan introduced, I'm from the class of 92, and you might be aware we also are working with Shivani ma'am and the SWC on the self-help website, which was released last week. And it's also a personal interest for me because I myself have been very curious about mindfulness and different ways in which we cope with stress. So this is something I do as one of the things I do. I also work with a project on product management, but increasingly I'm doing a lot of work with mindfulness. And that's my email ID in case any of you would like to be in touch with me or ask me more questions later. Okay, so let's just look at if we have to be successful in knowledge work, and clearly if we are in IIT, we've already established that we are good at knowledge work, every one of us. And, we continue having a lot of expectations on ourselves. So a few of the things that are important: concentration, the ability to give focused attention, which is also known as being in the zone. Those of you who follow sports know that very often, sports people talk about, you get into a zone in a certain moment, and then things just seem to flow very naturally, very seamlessly. And that's something that we can find even when we are studying, when we are working, when we are doing a project, right? And of course, you want to avoid stress because there are multiple demands on your time. And if you panic about it, if you're stressed about it, then that's not very helpful because some energy can go in that stress, right? Empathy for peers, especially when you get into group projects and so on. And I'd say finally, right, college is a very beautiful time in anyone's life. If you ask me, the time of my life that I really cherish the most, it is the couple of years that I spent on the beautiful campus at IITB, the friends I made there, the experiences I had, right? And that anyway happens. And is there some way in which you can make it even better by just saying that you don't let the stress, you don't let the challenges get to you so much, but you enjoy your work and your life and have lots more happy days than maybe down days, right? And mindfulness practices have been shown to help with all of these, right? So just a quick recap, how did mindfulness come about? And this is what my theory is in terms of what I have studied, but it could be that there are parallel people who have worked on this, but I think the term itself, mindfulness, comes from John Kabat-Zinn, who created the MBSR program, mindfulness-based stress reduction. He was a practicing Buddhist and well-versed in Buddhist meditation. And he realized that it can be brought in a non-religious format as well, some of the essential practices, and they could be very useful for stress reduction for people who are facing anxiety. And borrowing from this, there are a few others, Zindel Segal and some of his colleagues at University of California, San Diego Center for Mindfulness. They adapted MBSR and came up with mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which is especially designed for as a support for patients of anxiety and depression. And this, of course, was a very formal and structured program, and both of them are several weeks. The MBCT program is 8 weeks long. MBSR, I believe, is a 1 week program, but it's 1 week full time. So you spend like about 40 hours learning different mindfulness techniques, different ways to relate to your stress and reduce it. Okay? So this was in the context of people in a therapeutic setting. After that, okay, I think those slides, there's some slides about the corporate world, but what exactly is it? Right? So here are some definitions that I have come across in my study, and I'll give you maybe my perspective also a little later. So just as we did a small practice of focusing on the breath, we focused on sounds. Where are we right now? We even allowed ourselves to experience certain thoughts and let them go, right? It's a moment-to-moment awareness. And we just say that we don't engage too much with that. We appreciate it in a non-judgmental way. When I say not judgmental, it means there's no emphasis on, is this good? Why is this like this? Why is it not like this? It's sort of just letting things flow, letting experience flow, letting the sensory awareness flow very seamlessly, right? And just identifying with the witnessing presence. It can be very healing, very relaxing. And some of you, as was evident from the questions, have also taken up meditation practices maybe in the past. Many of you may still be currently meditating. So you would see that some of these concepts, you can very often relate them to meditation practices that come from Indian spiritual and religious traditions. But the idea with mindfulness movement is to present them in a religion neutral framework. And by that, what I mean is you don't take them away from religion. But you make them religion neutral in the sense that a person can fit them into whatever is their faith, or if they have no faith in any particular religion, that's also fine. They can still take the benefit of these meditation practices. And if there's something which is a source of inspiration for you in terms of your tradition, your faith, you can always combine whatever you follow with these practices. So in that sense, they are religion neutral. And in order to do that, so a lot of academic flavor was given to it. It's studied in the universities, research departments, and so on, with trying to find out quantitatively and empirically what benefit these bring. And there are many techniques. So again, mindfulness is not one particular technique. It's more like a body of knowledge. And there are many meditation techniques like breath awareness. We just had a small sample of it, body scan. There can be visualization-based meditations, which will help to build positive mental states. Mindfulness walk, so it's not just sitting, but you could be mindful in many ways, right? Mindfulness when you're walking from your hostel to department in the days when we didn't have the pandemic, of course. Mindfulness when you're playing a sport. In fact, sports are very naturally mindful because you could give it everything if you are at any level of involvement with a sport. But even there, just being mindful about the way you're engaging with your partner, with your opponent, and so on, right? That can also be an avenue for mindfulness. Gratitude practices. So very often, we have the tendency to just look at what is missing. It can be very helpful to take time to appreciate and be grateful for all the blessings in our life. And that itself builds a great deal of positive attitude in our mind. Okay? So the way I look at it, it's a combination of meditation techniques, but more than just meditation techniques, attentional skills, attitudes, and also a life approach, right? Which will not only reduce stress. I mean, reducing stress is just one aspect, but going beyond, going away from negative to not just a zero state, but a positive state of happiness and equanimity. And of course, this is a lifelong journey. If you find that this is something that appeals to you, I'd be very happy to see if some of you could take it on as a lifelong practice. It's something that helps in work, can help in life, can help in relationships, and overall, make life more purposeful and meaningful. How did mindfulness come from, what we saw in the earlier slide about the MBSR and MBCT into the corporate world? So Google, I think, was one company where there's this person, Chad Meng Tang, who's an early Googler, so somewhere in the top first 100 employees and therefore fairly senior. He decided to bring mindfulness to Google as a corporate program, and he introduced this two full day introductory workshop on mindfulness, which was very successful and very popular. And he's written a book about it also, which is it's a nice book. Search Inside Yourself is the name of the book as well, where he talks about his program. And what I know from people at Google is that it was so successful that at a time when they were a little limited, they didn't have too many facilitators in the first few years. There was like, you had to sign up, and there was almost a 10-month, even though the program was happening very often, there was a 10-month waiting list to be given a slot to participate in the program. That's how successful it became. And of course, when Google does something, people notice. So many companies around the world took it up. I've just given a few names, IT as well as non-IT companies, core companies as well. Right. In the classroom, right? And just as in the organization, it was found to have benefit. Many universities now offer, if you want to specialize in mindfulness, as maybe a student of psychology or behavioral science and so on, there are postgraduate programs. There are also short-term certification programs, and these are just a few that I found. UCSD, of course, as I mentioned, they were the formulators of the MBCT. Many other universities in the US, UK, Europe are offering this. And many universities have now included short-term training, maybe a couple of weeks, to give people, students, an overview of mindfulness, help them to internalize it. Again, few names that I just found. I'm sure if we look through, there would be probably several hundreds around the world where mindfulness programs are being offered in the universities. And how does it help? So just picked up a few case studies. So at Harvard Graduate School of Education has shown that regular mindfulness practice will help reduce stress, of course, but improve engagement. So just to stay focused with work, to stay focused with your course content, your projects. American Psychological Association talks about not three, but the empirically supported benefits. So stress reduction, reduce rumination, mind constantly wandering, boosting working memory, less emotional reactivity, and more cognitive flexibility, just the ability to accept different opinions, different thoughts, to change your very hard set views when you see that they're necessary to change, and so on. University of South Australia, I think I'll go a little faster. Most of these, just talk about benefits in terms of concentration, stress management, sleep. I don't think students have a problem with sleep. You can sleep at any time. Okay. And University of Cambridge, they talked about, so this was interesting because this was a long-term study. So they did an 8-week program and they followed up, of course, immediately, and there were benefits. They also followed up after 1 year. And what they found was, unfortunately, not many of the students who did the program actually stuck to it. And that's a pity because I'm sure the benefits would have been even more. They just did that 8-week program and many of them sort of didn't continue. But even then, they found that there was a lot of emotional resilience, and even if they needed counseling, some of them, because they were going through difficulties, it was much milder than the control group which had been not been exposed to mindfulness programs. Right, and what else is being studied? So I want to spend a little time here. How does mindfulness or any meditation practice really help, right, when you try to change habits? So there's this concept of neuroplasticity. And what neuroplasticity is really nothing more than just the fact that the neuronal connections in your brain, they can change with practice. Even, to some extent, the structure of your brain also can change. Yeah, when I say that, I don't, of course, mean that your cerebrum will disappear or your cerebellum will shrink or something like that. Not as extreme as that. But what it means is that those parts of the brain that are responsible for, say, fear, anger, panic, feeling consistently sad, depressed, they can get reduced activation over a period of time. And those parts of the brain that are connected with judgment, with emotional control, with feeling good about yourself, with feeling self-worth, they can get amplified. Those connections can get amplified, right? So attenuation and accentuation. And what happens is that the neurons, they are not fixed. The connections are not fixed, right? As you develop a habit, those neurons which are more often activated, those pathways which are more often activated, they become stronger and stronger. And that's how habits are formed. And those that you reduce their activation over a period of time, those pathways become weaker. So over a period of time, you can actually change your personality. People feel that personality is very fixed, but latest research in neuroscience and psychology tells us that personality also is a very evolving concept. If you focus, you can be happier, you can be more balanced, you can reduce patterns of depression, you can reduce patterns of fear and anxiety, right? It takes some work. And most of these studies on neuroplasticity are not very long also. So even in as short a period as 2 to 3 months, people see very noticeable changes. There's something called fMRI, which allows you to see, it's like an MRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, where you can actually see which parts of the brain are highly activated during certain activities and which parts of the brain are not. And even in 2 to 3 months of regular practice, it does show that you can bring about significant changes in the way your brain is wired, right? So that's neuroplasticity. And there's a lot of interest in that also, besides these group studies. Okay, so now we talked about meditation, and I'll come to a little bit on the types of meditation. But he said that one of the course, while mindfulness is not only about meditation, as in, when we sit and meditate on a chair or on a cushion and so on, but meditation is definitely an important aspect, right? So some common myths, which I'll try to give you my counter perspective on that. So that meditation is useful for religious and spiritual purposes alone. And as we have seen from these studies, that clearly is not the case. If you have an intent to pursue meditation in a long-term way for your own self-transformation, for just feeling good about yourself, for feeling more capable to handle challenges and ups and downs in a more equanimous way, right? For just having a better life, right? You can use it for that. And if you so wish, you can also take it further to enhance your spiritual progress if you're a believer in that and so on, right? So it works well both ways. Meditation is tough to learn and practice. And if we set ourselves with the perspective that, yeah, right from the beginning, I should have this, very calm, thoughtless state. Some of us will feel it. Some of us may take some time to feel it. And even for those who feel it, there may be some changes, ups and downs, right? So if we drop this perspective that there is a particular state to be achieved and just say we are open to and we welcome what our experience brings us, then actually meditation is nothing more than just showing up every day and practicing. And in that sense, everybody, even those who said that they had thoughts coming up and so on, right? You're successful in the meditation today because the whole idea of the meditation is to show up and to practice and then be with whatever is. So if you say that, yes, I felt calm and relaxed, that's meditation. If you said that I had a lot of thoughts, that also is one stage in the meditation. You're becoming aware of the fact that today I had a lot of thoughts. Tomorrow, maybe I'll have less thoughts. Or maybe today I had more calmness and relaxation. It's possible that tomorrow it may take a little longer for me to achieve that state, right? So just showing up every day is not difficult. And in terms of achieving mastery, believe me, we somewhere have this concept that it takes a lot of time. It's very difficult to change and so on. But I've seen that with consistent practice, with the right intentions, it's not very difficult. At least the initial curve, can be quite good because there can be ups and downs in that also. But if you're consistent, if you're focused, you can get quite good progress quite soon. I can't meditate, or there are some people just can't meditate. Again, I no longer hold this to be true. People may have different experiences in their meditation, and that, as I said, is a part of the whole idea. And everybody's experiences change with time. If we, again, don't set ourselves for, I need this particular state and so on, as I said later, meditation means becoming thoughtless. Sometimes you can achieve a thoughtless state or at least a state of greater calmness and serenity. And sometimes there are thoughts which come and go. Just the awareness of, yes, there is this thought and I am not my thoughts is a very, very great achievement, right? Just to get that witnessing presence of, yes, I saw this thought coming up. Maybe it was a good thought, maybe it was not a good thought, but I have some choice over it. I can let it come, I can let it go. Okay. Does it need to be done for a very long period of time to be effective? Even if you practice for 5 minutes when you get a chance, you will start seeing benefits. If you practice for 10 minutes, you may see more benefits. If there is a time where you like it and you start doing 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, yeah, maybe you'll get even more returns from it. But even 10 minutes, 2-3 times a day, 5 minutes, 6-7 times a day also can give you a lot of benefit, right? So if you have only a few minutes for some reason, just meditate for a few minutes, right? Be mindful for 5 minutes, be mindful for 10 minutes, be mindful for 1 minute. If you're between classes and you had a very intense class, you just need to be just disengaged from all that happened. Close your eyes, observe your breath for 1 minute. You'll find it can be effective. Yeah. Should be done only early in the morning. Can be helpful if if you feel fresh, but I think this is very tough if you're going to tell an IITian to do things early in the morning. I don't know of too many IITians who can wake up early in the morning unless they have to catch a flight or a train or something. Yeah. So do it whenever you can. If you happen to wake up early in the morning, do it then. If you happen to find time before lunch, after lunch, in the tiffin time, now we are at home, of course, so whatever time you have chai, do it then. If you couldn't do it in the whole day, and 7 o'clock you feel that, hey, I've got 10 minutes, do it then before sleeping. So don't let the timing become a hindrance, right? Start with whenever you can. And that meditation should only be learned from a guru or, in a formal setting of an initiation. And I know, especially in the Hindu traditions, there's a lot of focus on it has to be given in an initiation and so on. But there are other traditions, like in the Buddhist traditions, they are pretty chill about it, and they like to share things very openly. So don't let this block you. Yeah, maybe see, depending on the cultural context you're in, initiation. I've undergone a lot of initiations with some fairly advanced teachers, and because we give that time a lot of importance, yeah, it does have a certain greater meaning for us, right? And maybe you can pick it up, and maybe some of us may find the opportunity to have an initiation which becomes more meaningful, which helps deepen that, right? But don't let it be a hindrance to start the practice. So do it whenever you feel called. If right now your heart says that, yes, this is something useful, this is something I should take up, just take it up. Okay. So some things that I find very useful, and we'll talk a little about this. We did a little experience of awareness of the breath. We'll try to do a slightly longer session before we end for today. Guided meditation for awareness of the breath and the body. The breath especially is very, very useful. And there's a lot of physiological linkage with our breath and our mind. So if we feel that we are feeling disturbed, and if we pay attention to the breath, we'll find that the breath also tends to become a little disturbed. When we are calm, when we are serene, we'll find our breath is also in a certain silent mode. Silent as in just calm and very gentle. It can be even very subtle and become almost very soft. And as we meditate on the breath, we become aware of these linkages, right? And we'll also find that just bringing a gentle awareness. Some of you mentioned that it was difficult and you felt it was not calm and so on, right? Just be patient with it for some time. Don't feel disturbed because your breath seems disturbed. Just say fine, whatever it is fine. And I'll teach you some methods by which we can also slightly help in establishing a little bit of calmness in the breath. But don't stress too much about it, right? And you'll find that if you don't bother too much, in a couple of minutes, it actually settles down. And that feeling you had, will go away after some time. And then that also establishes your mind in a calmer state. It's not just this. You can also be mindful about commonplace objects, just the surroundings. If you're taking a walk, as I said, mindful walks can be very good. And for some people who find that it's difficult to sit and meditate, and they're always full with a lot of thoughts, it can be good to have a more movement-oriented mindfulness, which is you can, if you're doing exercise, if you do yoga, you can be mindful while you're doing yoga. You can be mindful while you're doing exercise. Mindfulness of movement. When you're walking, just becoming aware of nature around you, trees, the sky, just a gentle breeze, sound of the birds, just noticing, the trees, their movement, life. And this itself can become a meditation. Your walk can become a meditation. Gratitude practices. Just taking a moment to note, what is it that I'm grateful for in this moment? Maybe we can just try this, each of us, right now, okay, just in this moment, or in this year, or in your whatever comes up, right? Just bring up 3 things that you consider a blessing, right? And just note that for yourself in your mind. Just note and feel grateful for that, right? Something that's really like a blessing that you feel for. It could be a person, it could be about yourself also, maybe you work very hard for something and you achieved it. Doesn't just have to be, you can be grateful to yourself as well, not just your friends or your family or outside. Yeah, and maybe as we do this, one or two people can just share that what did you feel grateful for and how did it make you feel, right? Just one or two sharings maybe. So one or two things that you're grateful for. If you can type at least one thing that you genuinely, truly feel grateful for. You just feel that sense of, wow, this is something so nice in my life. So Anand shares, to be blessed and surrounded by loved ones. And Anand, if you can also type, how does that make you feel? Just recollecting with gratitude. Just type that. Shivani ma'am, nature, yes. And especially if you're on campus, you can be in Mumbai and still feel so beautifully supported and surrounded by the hills and the lakes that you're between. And Sunita says that, yeah, in a time of pandemic, we of course have a lot of, a lot is different about 2020. But just to feel grateful that my family is safe, you're together and we are all safe. Shavik is grateful that I'm so less affected by COVID, right? So how does it make you feel? I'm going to call on, I said, Anand, how did that make you feel? And just recollecting gratitude. Vishal, how does it make you feel as well to have a family that you always have your family, they have your back, and also for being part of IIT, right? So we can just write down, just recollecting this. Mohit says, I'm grateful that I'm alive this moment in the world. Yeah, and that's so nice. Thanks for sharing that, Mohit. Just the fact that you're grateful, and I think Chandan also shared that I'm still healthy and breathing. We tend to take this thing for granted, but just a recollection. Ranjana is feeling very blissful with cool breeze in her room just now. It's so nice, so wonderful to have that experience and just to feel connected with that. And Arijit, that's so wonderful to say that everything that I have, I am grateful for that, right? So nice to have that feeling of abundance. Okay, so I think, yes. So Anand says, they help me whenever I'm feeling down and also sharing happy moments. Okay. And we have a few others. Yeah, so I think most of us would say that just the experience of gratitude and to recollect one's blessings can make one feel just makes one feel very nice. And so it's good to, there's a certain shift. If we are feeling down, just counting, 4 or 5 things we are feeling blessed for can be extremely empowering and enlifting. And then visualization meditations, we'll practice a little later as we go into the next session. Specifically, loving kindness and compassion, and especially about yourself. So it might feel that it should be very easy to, just feel good about oneself and to love oneself. But there can also be a lot of counter currents, right? Yes, we are the most important person for each of us. And yet sometimes we can also be our own enemies because we hold ourselves to too high a standard. We sometimes are our greatest critics. And it's fine to look at improvement and so on, right? It's also good to just appreciate oneself, to appreciate one's efforts, to appreciate the good things one has done in life, and to feel that sense of security and love for oneself, right? As well as all those around us. So love for all beings starts with love for this being that you're always with 24/7. Yeah. Mindful listening, another modality, and as a counselor, I find that this is also very effective, can be very useful for deepening relationships. Just to be able to listen to someone with full attention can bring about a total change in friendships when they know that you are there for them without judgment, with complete attention, with complete presence that can give a certain greater depth to any relationship. Okay, so this is, I know it was quite a lot in a short time. You can, of course, reach out to me. What I'll do is I'll take one or two questions right now about the content. and then we'll move into another practice because I did share a lot of things, and normally if we have a more interactive session where everyone can speak, people would stop me for questions right there. This is a slightly different format. You can put one or two if there's anything that's like about this PPT and what we shared. Okay, I don't see anything coming up right away. So what we'll do is I want to introduce a slightly longer practice, not too long, but about, I would say about 20 minutes or so, maybe plus minus 2-3 minutes. I don't time it perfectly. I just let it flow when I start the guidance. But what we'll be covering is we start off again with breath meditation, and just to help people who felt that it was a little difficult to concentrate on the breath, or they felt the breath was not smooth, I'll give you a slightly different practice in the beginning before we actually go into the breath. And then we'll move to a body scan. But what we're doing with the body scan is we're just trying to also relax the body. We're trying to also, maybe there'll be some gentle movements, just where you're sitting, just to relax and let go. And just becoming aware of where in my body am I holding on to tension can be a very good ability, right? To sense that, yes, I'm holding on to tension, and we'll find there are certain focal points. It could be the neck, it could be jaws, it could be the stomach, back, and just relieving that mentally. Your mind can be very powerful in just letting go of that tension. Is something we'll try and learn. And then finally, we'll do a short visualization. It's just around inviting and affirming motivational thoughts or very positive thoughts about our life experience, about happiness, really, right? And it seems like a lot to do in 20 minutes, but let me see. Okay, so what we'll do is with the breath, right? I want to do a slightly. Can you see me clearly? It's a little not very. It's a bit dark. Let me go a bit closer to the light. Yeah. So for those who felt that their breath wasn't very smooth, and I said, don't bother too much. Let it be the way it is. But if you can just try this for some time, right? See me first, and then you can try it. Okay. We practice breathing out for, say, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Breathing out through the mouth, breathing through the lips. And when you do that, it's possible to slightly elongate your exhalation. So like, and I'm using my hands to just indicate my inhalation and exhalation. Inhale through the nose, exhale, just separating your lips and exhaling out through the lips. So when I'm raising my hand, it is inhalation. When I'm lowering my hand, it is exhalation. And the exhalation we are doing through the lips. Just feeling that air, passing the lips. Now you can try it. You'll see that it's easier to focus on the breath and also to make the breath smooth, because with the lips you get a little more control. You can actually breathe a little longer. Your exhalation can be a little longer. The moment your exhalation is a little longer, you'll find that your next inhalation can also be a little deeper, because you're sort of emptying the whole, emptying the air in the lungs quite completely. Okay, just try that for a few, maybe another 5-6 times. Okay. So we'll start off our guided practice now with about whatever you want, 6, 7, 8 breaths like this. And then you close your lips and let your breath be natural. And I would bet that most of us would find that just starting off this way gives you a sort of a kick to your relaxation, and you'll feel a lot calmer. You'll feel your breath can be a little smoother. Right? So of course, breathing out through the mouth is not the natural way to breathe. So you don't do it continuously, but it can be useful to do even when you're feeling stressed and so on, right? Very gently, if you just breathe out through your mouth, say for 25, 30 seconds, you'll find that the physiology response, and there's some connection with the parasympathetic nervous system. What we call the vagus nerve gets activated by this breathing out through the lips. And if you have a longer session sometime in future, we can actually practice different kinds of breathing and how they affect the physiology. But for now, just start off with this, right? So once again, we'll, any questions on this? Was this, let me check if this was, yeah, Azim had a question. Is there any way in which we can calm ourselves while surrounded by people? Yeah, so I'll take this question. Ishan, if you can make a note of this and some of the others. Definitely, I'll try to take that when we come to questions at the end of the session. Okay, any questions about this? The technique I just shared, which is, breathing out through your lips. Okay. So your hand, you can, see, so initially I just said put your hand on your stomach just so that it's just to make you notice the breath movement a little more clearly, but otherwise just let your hands be free. See, in advanced meditation practices, there are in yoga and so on, right? They would teach you different mudras which have a certain effect on the mind. But for now, in basic mindfulness practice, we don't even bother too much about that. Put your hand where it feels comfortable, right? So you can put your left hand on your lap and your right hand on top of it, or you can leave both of them. I don't know if you can see. You can leave both of them open like this or like this, right? Or even, so be comfortable. The most important thing is whatever feels comfortable, just be with that. And the last time I told you, you can put your hand on your stomach just to help you be aware of the breath. But after that, you can just let your hands be free. Okay, so let's start. You can close your eyes. Yeah, Arijit, so you don't do it more than like 6-7 times, okay? Of course, we don't want to make a habit of breathing with our mouth. It's just to help you, kickstart. And, after some time, you won't even need this. You'll find that when you sit naturally, your attention will go on your breath and slowly your breath will calm down. So we're not saying you do it more than, as I said, 5, 6, 7 times, 8 times, maybe 15, 20 seconds, that's it. Then you close your mouth and you breathe naturally through your nose. So just pay attention to how you're sitting, be comfortable, and notice your back resting on the chair, your feet on the ground, and just the sounds around you, my voice and any other sounds. Come in tune with the present moment. If any thoughts are coming up, past, this week, next week, yeah, acknowledge them. Say hi thought, right? I am not your thought. I am not you. So say hi to your thought, and then come back to the present moment. And we'll start with about 6 or 7 rounds of breathing through the mouth, and maybe we can synchronize. So you can follow my lead. When I raise my hand, it's breathing in through the nose as deeply as you can without forcing. So we are not forcefully breathing. And then when I lower my hand, breathe out, noticing through your lips. So elongating a little more. And now you can close your mouth and just breathe normally. For some time, just put your hand on your stomach, just to feel the movement of your stomach. And you can also note the warmth of your hand on your stomach. And once you're in tune with your breath, you can let your hands be as you feel naturally comfortable. Left hand on your lap, right hand on the left hand, or just open, facing up, facing down. And you can change it also from time to time. You don't have to be rigid. And you're just focused on your breath. Trying to notice every breath from beginning to end, from the moment the breath starts entering your nostrils and your stomach starts going out, to the point when the breath has completely left you. Intent on every part of the breath. And it's possible sometimes there may be thoughts, there may be memories, things to be done. If that happens, very gently acknowledge that yes, there was a thought, there was a memory, there was a plan. You can even say, hi thought, hi memory, like very playfully. And then don't engage, come back to the breath. And you're not concentrating very forcefully. You're not like frowning, tense, and catching the breath. But you're very gentle and relaxed with yourself, almost with a half a smile, maybe a gentle smile, as you're noticing the breath. Relaxed, yet attentive. This combination we want to get. And whatever is there right now, you accept it. If the breath is still not smooth, that's fine. You say, okay, I'll see whatever is there right now. But some of you will start feeling a sense of relaxation, a sense of ease with the breath. And even if you don't, that's fine. Just showing up is meditation. And if you find that you lost touch with the breath, then once again, just put your hand on your stomach and notice the movement of your stomach. Notice the warmth. And once again, then you can let your hand go. Just coming back to the breath. If you have thoughts again and again, that's fine. Again and again, come back to the breath. If you don't have thoughts and you have sustained attention with the breath, that's also fine. Just be with whatever is your experience. For the next minute or minute and a half, I won't say anything. Just try to be as intent with the breath as you can. And come back to the breath if you were lost. And now we'll go into a body scan. And the way we do this is I'll name different parts of the body. Just bring your attention very gently to that part, if possible, while still maintaining awareness of the breath. And just feel whatever you can feel there. And also just hold this thought, I allow myself to relax. And you're allowing yourself to relax in that particular part of the body and in general also. So you might find that you've tensed up some muscle, and just as mental suggestion, relax, let go. Right? That also can be very useful in just relaxing to the extent that it happens. And if some thoughts or some tension doesn't go away automatically, that's also fine. Just be gentle with accepting whatever experience you get. We'll start with the top of the head. Take your attention to the top of the head and relax. Your forehead and temples, relax. The back of the head, your eyes, muscles around the eyes, relax. You can try just slightly tightening your eyes and then letting them go. Come to the cheeks, relax. Ears, you're noting whatever sensations are there. And if you're holding on to any tension, you're allowing that tension to go. And if it goes, fine. If it doesn't go, it's fine. Your lips, your jaw. Just open your jaw, open your mouth and close it gently. We often hold on to tension in our jaw. Just being aware of that opening and closing can help us relieve some tension. Come to the chin, neck and throat. And you can gently move your neck from side to side, left to right, not forcefully. And just feel the movement and feel the release of any tension as you stretch. Come to your shoulders, and you can slightly roll your shoulders also, being aware, being mindful of the movement. Make circle forward and reverse. Just being aware of the movement and aware of the letting go of any tension there. We'll go down both the arms, upper arm, elbows, forearm, wrist, palms, back of the hand, and tips of the fingers, and slowly coming up the same way. Come back to your shoulder, go down the front of your body, feeling your chest. You can hear your heart, or you can feel your heartbeat, perhaps, or maybe not. It's fine either way. Diaphragm and stomach. Feeling the movement of your stomach with the breath. Coming back to your shoulder. And now we'll go down the back. Upper back. Middle back. Lower back. And you can stretch a little back and forth. Just allowing the back to stretch and relieving any tension in the muscles there. Maybe a little bit of a twist, very gentle. Always being aware of what you're doing. Coming to the hips and the thighs, knees, going down the calf muscles and the shin, ankles, and you can just rotate your feet a little bit at the ankle, whatever feels comfortable. You can also just stretch your legs out, stretch your toes as you're sitting, rotate, feel the movement, feel the stretch, and feel the letting go of tension. And then again relax, coming back the same way, up the knees, thighs, hips, and find a spot in the center of your trunk, the place where the ribs meet. And just settle down there. Now, having seen the whole body from top to bottom, you'll find it easier to just visualize the whole body at once if possible, if you can, otherwise to the extent you can, while still aware of your breathing. Just trying to be aware of your whole body while you're also breathing. While you're also aware of your breathing. Of course, you are breathing. And once again, allowing yourself to relax in your body and in your breath. If you need to move a little to feel more comfortable how you're sitting, you can do that. And now just take this thought, this visualization, as I'm following a scene that I'm building up in my mind. You also follow it with me to the extent you can. Imagine yourself on a beach at the time of sunset. It's a very beautiful scene. you're quite alone. And you're very happy to be alone. You can feel the sand under your feet. You can see the sun very gentle now. It's not a hot sun, it's very warm. It's very gentle because it's very close to sunset. There's still a little warmth which you can feel. And you can hear the ocean waves. You can feel the gentle breeze. And you can also see the waves coming and going. You can see the waves coming and going. And in this moment, you realize that you're just feeling very good in nature with this beautiful sunset, this beautiful breeze. And there's nothing really bothering you because whatever important thing you had to do, you've already done. And it's a wonderful vacation which you can take guilt-free. You've earned it. And you're just feeling so nice to be alone. And you feel that sense of happiness that this moment, this vacation, this day has been so perfect. And you allow yourself to feel that fully. And as you look at the sun, the warm radiance, golden red light of the sun, you absorb it in your heart. And you feel all the good feelings about being in this beautiful spot, being blessed by nature, having done what had to be done, feeling very satisfied with yourself, feeling very pleasant about yourself. And you come back to your heart region, and it's almost like you can feel the warmth of the sun is a warmth inside you. If you can visualize it, just visualize a golden light, like a mini sun, but a very warm sun inside your heart. And all these feelings of beautiful nature, feeling good about yourself and what you've achieved. You allow yourself to be truly happy. And you let that warm feeling be an embodiment of your feelings of happiness, allowing it to spread. The light spreads through your body, filling your trunk, filling your arms, down to your fingers, down to your feet. The warm light spreading all over your body and increasing and amplifying those feelings of happiness. And you say, may I be truly happy. May I be joyful and peaceful as I am in this moment. And now you can forget that scene and just bask in this feeling of happiness right now on 8th of November 2020 at about 7:50 p.m. The same feelings are here for you, even without that scene. That warm light, you let it spread, basking in that happiness. And as I repeat these thoughts, you can mentally repeat or just feel it. May I be truly happy. May I be peaceful and joyful. May I look after myself with ease and well-being, with a smile, facing life, enjoying life to the fullest and its challenges. May I bless myself. May I love myself deeply. May I forgive myself deeply. May I love myself truly and deeply. And just feel that for some time. Let the thoughts subside, but just be in the feeling. Now you can spread that feeling, so that warm light that you visualized, just visualize it spreading waves outside, almost like an electromagnetic antenna. Wishing all on this group, all of us here who are participating, this little community we have today, may all of you be very peaceful and joyful. If you're feeling any sense of ease, any sense of peace, may you all share in that. May you also feel joyful, peaceful, happy. May you have ease and well-being in your life. May you enjoy life with a smile, through its ups and downs like a game, not taking it too seriously. May you be truly happy. And you can spread this to your near and dear ones, family, close friends. If you like, you can visualize that image in front of your eyes. Any one person or a group of people, may you be truly happy. May you be joyful and peaceful. Spread those wishes from your heart center, that light radiating goodwill, love, compassion. May you have ease and well-being in your life, addressing your family, your friends, and spread even further. All beings, all people at IIT, faculty, staff, mess workers, all people in the city you're in right now, all people in the country, in the world, animals and plants. May all beings be truly happy. May all beings be joyful and peaceful. May they have ease and well-being in their life. For a few moments, let everything go and just be, just be, just be. Thoughts may come and go, memories may come and go. Just don't do anything. Just be silent, just be present. And let the breath also just come and go. Don't do anything. Just be the witness that you are. And slowly you can move your toes and your hands a little. And before you open your eyes, maybe you can once again rub your arms, make them nice and warm, feel the movement. Nice and warm, nice and warm, nice and warm. And slowly put it on your face and your eyes. Give yourself a gentle stroke, maybe the neck as well. And slowly open your eyes. If you feel like sharing, you don't have to. You can share how it was. Was this a little more better for those of you, especially those who expressed that it was tough? Because we gave ourselves more time, right? We did each part a little longer. It's like a package. So those who feel like can share a few lines. Okay, Sunita lost track of time, and that's very good because time is an illusion in some sense. I love sea beaches for Shovik, so the visualization was beautiful. Yeah, and you know, if some of us may love mountains, so you can create your own visualizations on mountains, maybe paragliding, maybe, right? Just whatever makes you feel happy, visualize it, then drop the visualization. And Mohit, again, I find it frustrating when I lose focus on the breath. Doesn't matter. Allow yourself not to be frustrated. Just say it's fine. Believe me, it's a practice. Even today, There are times when if there are a lot of thoughts, if I have had a very eventful day, I've had a lot of meetings, I find it difficult to concentrate on my breath. So I've been doing it for several years. Yeah, that can happen. So don't be too caught up. Just keep showing up, do it. And my challenge to you, Mohit, is do this 15 minutes, just the breath. Okay, you don't even have to do the other part. 10 to 15 minutes a day for 7 days. And after 7 days, come back to me. You have my email ID and tell me, did you notice a change or not, right? Yeah, it won't get perfect, but you'll find definitely in 7 days itself, you can start seeing that there's a greater ability to just focus on the breath. And again, I said, don't be too caught up, right? If you have 10 times, 15 times, 20 times moved away from the breath, no frustration. Smile and say, oh, thought came, oh, memory came, oh, plan came. Come back to the breath. That's it. I'm very grateful, says Arijit. Thank you. You're most welcome. It's really nice, especially thinking about the beach. I could really feel the warmth of the sun. Yeah, so our thoughts are very powerful, right? It's good to be in nature if we can, but if you can't, you create your own nature around you. Okay, so what we've done is, I'm conscious of the time. It was about, I think, a little more than 20. I wanted to do 20, but I think it went to about 23, 24 minutes. But what we've done in this last session, we combined 3 mindfulness practices, just because I wanted to give you a package. Normally, if I do a longer session, if I do a half-day retreat, we do them separately. But we started with breath. We then did a relaxing body scan. We moved to different parts of the body, allowing ourselves to relax if we find any tension there, and being gentle with it also. Sometimes it goes easily, sometimes it doesn't go, and that's fine. But we just get in tune with our body. We get in tune with the power of our thoughts to help our bodies let go of stress, to let go of relaxation, to let go of any tension, and to invite relaxation. And then we do a visualization. Anything. It could be just setting up a scene, and if you do it more often, you'll find that it comes easily. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself, and then say that I allow myself this experience, and I wish myself that this experience of happiness, this experience of joy, it amplifies. And then we share it with others, because that's when we find that we really can feel not only good about ourselves, but good about our relationships. And over a period of time, even people whom we have some difficulties with, we'll find that it brings about a change, right? So again, I think you asked this earlier also, Mohit. I find I am thinking about breath instead of experiencing it. Then I again come through on thought, so that when it starts getting issue. So, it's fine. Don't overthink it, Mohit, too much, right? Yeah, sometimes you think, sometimes you're visualizing the breath, right? Whatever helps you to be focused. And remember that the breath it's not about, there's no perfect way to do it also. The breath is just an anchor, right? You can even, some people find a mantra very useful, like Om and meditate chanting and so on, right? So I just introduced this because that's one way in which we are very non-religious in our meditation. But for those who find that they like, chanting or Omkar or something like that, they can try that as well. So don't overthink it. Just keep showing up, as I said, right? That's the important thing. And, I'm happy to maybe, it's sometimes difficult to type. I'm happy to chat with you sometime, one-on-one as well, just to exactly get to what you're facing. But yeah, if you're thinking about the breath, you are likely to be in touch with the breath, right? So don't overanalyze and say that, no, maybe I'm not getting it, right? Whatever you're doing is good. And it'll ease. The good thing about any meditation is it eases into you slowly, and it corrects itself also. That's one great thing, that as long as you're keeping awareness, don't get lost. As long as you're keeping awareness, you'll automatically start finding, where do I self-correct, where do I change something, and so on. And this is just the first day, right? So do it for a few more days. Great. Okay, any questions about the immediate practice? If there is one or two more, I'll take that. Otherwise, we'll go into the questions that came up. And I am conscious that we are quite beyond time. It was supposed to be for 1.5 hours, but I am patient if you folks are as well. Whoever wants to, has other things to do can drop off. Whoever wants to go through the questions, hear the answers, it's fine. You can, those who are interested in a recording can send me an email. I shared my email ID. Again, Vivek_Mohile, Vivek_Mohile at iitbombay.org. And I'll share with you in a few days more, sort of a short recording which you can use to help you in the beginning. But later on, try to meditate on your own without even the aid of a recording. And there are some beautiful meditations on SoundCloud, on apps like Insight Timer, Headspace, Calm. Find what works for you. I'm conscious that it's difficult to do a lot in like 1.5 hours, but I hope at least it gave you a glimpse. And do share feedback if you'd like more sessions. If you can spend time for a longer session, we'll see what we can do. Okay, Ishan, I hope you're not pressed for time, right? You're the host.
Yes.
You can go on for 20-25 minutes and try and take some of the questions.
Yeah.
So should I open them at my end, or let me do that? So
whichever is convenient for you.
Okay, let me do that. Can you do one thing while I open that? Are there some questions that you logged right here today about the practice? Let's go through those, and then I'll take those, and then I'll go through the questions that have come in earlier.
Yeah, so one of the questions that came in the chat was, is there any way in which we can calm ourselves while surrounded by people, let's say sometime in communication with them?
Yeah, so yeah, I remember that. That was, I think, from Azim. So Azim, the good thing about something like breath is you can be aware of your breath and people don't even have to know, right? So if you find that for whatever reason, there's a situation in which you're getting a little stressed, 2 or 3 things you can try is just spend some time being aware of the breath, right, as you're talking. And the good thing is that as you practice on a regular basis every day, you'll find it's very easy to come in tune with the breath in a sort of multitasking way. So of course, when we meditate, we say try and focus fully on the breath. But when you're, say, doing something, right, you can actually at that time, because he's talking to that person or doing something, you can at that time you're allowed to multitask, which is you're doing that and also just in the background being aware of the breath, and you'll find that that can be very relaxing. Another thing is this body awareness that we talk about, what we call the grounding position. And those who are in EE know that the earth is infinite ground, as it were. It can absorb any amount of charge. And in the mindfulness community, we also say that even in terms of the emotional charge, right, the earth has some ability to absorb it, especially if you can be more in touch with the earth, barefoot once in a while. And even when you're wearing shoes or slippers or something, you'll find that just that connection with the earth, just being aware of the soles of your feet and its connection with the earth is another very relaxing mode. Okay? But to do all of this, you have to also be able to practice that away from people. So once you learn to be in touch with the breath, and it's 5 minutes a day, 2 or 3 times, whatever amount of time you give, the longer you give, the better it is. Then you find that even in your day-to-day activities, right? Even in an exam, right? There's some stress because of time and so on, right? And you can afford maybe 30 seconds of just coming back to your breath. And this thing which I said, right? You can try breathing out through your mouth. It's physiologically very relaxing. So if you find a sense of, any sense of anxiety regarding an exam or a quiz or something, right? Just do that. I don't spend too much time on it. Otherwise, you won't spend time on answering. But you can afford 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds middle if you feel that you just need to calm yourself. And, that's the way you can do it. All right. Was there anything else, Ishan?
So there's this one question, how to focus on meditation when mind is full of negative thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that's part of the questions, right? So I'll open that and then I'll just go through.
Yeah.
So First, I'll come to the ones which are specifically around meditation practice because a few are more general. Right, so mind keeps wandering here and there, even during meditation. Please suggest anything for this. And I said again, first of all, accept whatever is currently the situation, which is, yes, the mind is wandering. And that also, we don't struggle too much with, we try to be gentle. It's a practice, right? That's why we call it mindfulness practice. Like cricket practice, you won't get good at holding the bat. Even Sachin, didn't get great at it right from the first, right? So it takes practice, and you'll be surprised at how quickly the mind responds to practice, right? So 7 days, 8 days, you'll find that if you're consistent, give yourself 15-20 minutes if you can, especially if your mind wanders a lot, and you'll find that you'll notice a change. So it will start settling down. And the important thing is to just notice whatever is happening, because even if it's wandered a lot, even if you had a lot of thoughts, a lot of plans, a lot of ups and downs, right? Earlier, you were completely sucked into that. You were like flowing away. Now, when you are telling me that, my mind wandered, that itself is a milestone, because you are separating yourself from that thought. You are separating yourself from that process. So we are developing and strengthening what we call the witnessing consciousness through this practice. So of course, if you can relax and settle down, that feels nice, but don't be too caught up in that experience also, right? It's okay. It's okay even if the mind wanders. And trust me on this, if you keep at it, and especially if you can do it at least 15 minutes in 1 or 2 times in a day, you'll find that it reduces. Okay, and similar to that, right? I've tried meditating many a times, but I'm not able to. How to have that discipline? So see if discipline is often tough as students, right? And especially with the kind of lifestyles we have when we are in the hopefully at home, it's a little better, but I can't say not necessarily, right? If you can just say that, yeah, if we can do it at a particular time every day, it's good. If we can't do it at a particular time, just say that, okay, 4 times a week, 5 times a week at least, right? And just set a goal. So if we set ourselves as intention that in the next week, at least 5 times in the week out of 7, I will try to find 15-minute slot or 10-minute slot, whatever you are comfortable with, try to increase it slowly. Don't suddenly say that, okay, I'm going to meditate for 1 hour and so on. Then your mind will start resisting. Start with 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? And whenever you can, right? So say maybe the whole day went, and you can log and give yourself, a sort of a tick mark or something in your diary that, okay, I did it once. Then, I did it. Maybe tomorrow I was a bit indisciplined. I didn't do it. Doesn't matter. 3rd day I'll do it, right? And in the week, that's a way in which we just build it up. And when you start getting the benefit, see, our mind is very good. If you're not getting any benefit, don't even push yourself to do it, right? There's no point. You can probably, better spend those 15 minutes hearing a song if that's something more relaxing to you. If you're doing it the right way and you start seeing that sense of calmness, that sense of focus, that sense of ease, your mind is going to start reminding you that, hey, this felt good. Let's do it, right? So don't force yourself too hard. Set yourself an intention and see what works, right? And if you don't, also be gentle with yourself and say that, okay, if I tried 5, but I did 4, good. Pat yourself on the back for those 4 and say next week I'll do 5. And then, you will be able to do it maybe every day in a very short period of time. And some of you will find that it's easy to do because, it just comes naturally. Okay. How to focus on meditation when the mind is full of negative thoughts? So again, see, in the mindfulness approach, we don't even mind negative thoughts too much, right? And we don't even actually label. See, and the ultimate thing, we don't even label them as negative. We just say that there are some thoughts that are useful and skillful, and there are some thoughts which are not. Because we don't take thoughts too seriously also. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts is one thing if you have to take from this. So thoughts will come, thoughts will go. There'll be some negative thoughts, there'll be some positive thoughts. If we believe our thoughts too much, if we take our thoughts too seriously, then there is an issue. Otherwise, thoughts are just a flow of some chemical signals in the brain, we can choose what we want to take and we can let go what we don't want to take. So if there are a lot of negative thoughts, just acknowledge, there are a lot of negative thoughts today. But there's maybe one positive thought if there was, and be grateful for that. And as what you're grateful for expands, so if you give too much attention to that, there was a negative thought, that also can expand, unfortunately, right? And then we obsess and we feel frustrated about why am I so negative a thinking a person. On the other hand, in the mindfulness approach, we just acknowledge and say that, oh wow, there were a lot of negative thoughts today, right? And if you don't take them too seriously, as in, thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts are the flow of chemicals in the brain. Some of them are things we keep. Some of them we let go and say that, okay, chhod do isko, right? And if you have two positive thoughts, you be grateful for that. Wow, I had two very positive, I had two very relaxing, maybe very kind thoughts about myself. You be grateful for it, and you'll find that it starts expanding. What you give attention to expands, in this approach. So acknowledge it and let it go. Don't engage too much with it. Acknowledging means just, okay, yeah, it was there. There was an unkind thought, there was a negative thought, there was a not useful thought, right? What can I do to let it go? Maybe I just don't engage with it too much, right? And what is useful to me, I engage with it, I allow it to increase. Okay, let me go through from the beginning. How can I get laser sharp focus? So focus, if you find that one of the things with mindfulness practice is that the focus that you will start developing with, say, the breath or with just your body awareness, right? It's also builds up a certain discipline. It also builds up a certain concentration, right? And you might remember that I stress, a gentle concentration, a relaxed concentration. That is a transferable mind state. You'll find that if you're able to focus on your breath for 15 minutes and gradually you're able to tune out those distractions of thoughts and so on, right? In a gentle way, you can apply that also to your work. Let's say, your studies or your project or anything that you want to master. Because it's the same brain, right? And you're building that muscle, as it were, and not really a muscle in the brain, but if you know what I mean. You're building that muscle of attention, you're building that muscle of focus. And one thing important in focus is to draw yourself away. So not get carried away too much by a distraction, but to recognize that distraction as early as possible and then very gently pull yourself away. Not to get frustrated also because I got distracted, but just to acknowledge that also. Wow, 5 minutes I spent imagining or daydreaming. Okay, doesn't matter. Let me come back here now. Right now, in the meditation, we are concentrating on the breath. In your work, build that focus. The other thing that I'd like to share from my experience is that focus is something that requires some warm up, right? So very often we have this belief that, I should just be able to focus the moment I start. And with some things that does happen, right? Things that we really like or we are very much an expert in, it doesn't take any time. But even the best of people will tell you that the brain also, no matter how good you are at something, you require a certain tuning, you require a certain warm up, like in cricket, you'll often notice commentators say ki, abhi ye batsman set ho gaya, and that takes time, you don't get set right away. And in that sense, the focus is the ability to focus and read the ball and be able to, sense how the ball is going to land, to just be seamless in terms of how you play the ball, right?